session to the class, but I'd rather upload it to YouTube because for some reasons, some people complained of inability to access the video. So I don't know, probably it could be any Edmodo application failure in encoding the video streams. So I'd rather put it on YouTube, which of course I'm pretty sure that wouldn't fail. And I'll share the link of the video in the class. That'll be fine. Okay, so once again, good morning. I'm pretty sure you know next week is your exam, and if I'm not mistaken, you're taking your exam on Tuesday. And I'm pretty gonna be walking you through some of the topics we've covered in the last few weeks, and also giving you a heads up of what the exam is going to look like, just like let's see an exam, the exams tips and tricks you just have to stick to in order to have a very good grade. Then I understand that most persons are yet to attempt or complete their assignment. Please, if you've not completed your assignment, please try as much as you can to do that. All right, so that you wouldn't lose that that grade. Okay. Then for those who are yet to, I think I have one person or two that are yet out. I'll try and put the name on in the class wall. So for those that haven't taken the quiz, so please try as much as you can to do that. Okay. Then okay, so that's that. So I'll just basically bring up my the scheme of work for the term. Then we'll look that up and I'll walk you through.
I have a question.
Those topics one after the other. Please try as much as you can to mute your mic as soon as you join the class, please. Okay,
can I ask you a question? Can I say something?
Yes.
Please, we want to see your videos. We want to see your pictures. Tell them we want to see their pictures. I don't do her.
Sorry, ma, what did you say?
I said, let's see their pictures instead of let them put on their videos. We need to see them. Videos, their pictures, like what Clarence, yes.
Okay, ma. Okay, so Chikum, Clarence, Enofon, and okay, please try as much as you can. Turn on your video.
Fine. Turn on your video, please. Thank you. Thanks. Good morning. Chikum.
Good morning, teacher.
Morning. Your video.
Good morning, teacher.
Enofon, your video.
Teacher, she's shy.
It's important. Let's see you. We have missed you for a long while. We don't want us to see your pretty faces. Okay, go on. Sorry, Mr. Nathaniel. I'm done. Go on, Mr. Nathaniel.
Okay, ma.
Thank you.
Okay, so in the last few weeks, we've looked at these various topics: application of ICT 1 and 2. We've looked at word processing packages, and we've done some practicals on word processing packages. And we've also looked at presentation packages, and we've done a couple of practicals on presentation packages. And of course, I did give you guys a research project, which I know a couple of you have turned it in. But for those who are yet to turn in the research project, please try as much as you can to do so before the end of today. Okay, so we'll be looking at application of ICT. First thing first, so let me just exit my screen. So I'll be making use of the notes in our class. So application of ICT. So our folders, study resources. So week one, let me just load the PDF for that. Okay, our slide we used for the okay, so basically application of ICT. So our main objective as we had done that was to look at the various uses of ICT in our daily activities. So before we went into that, I was able to tell you what ICT is all about. So I was able to convince you that whenever you have a technology that allows you to transfer data digitally, all right, it's ICT. So ICT is just technology that allows data to be transferred digitally. You know, back in those days, the Stone Age period, this archaic period where information was being transferred maybe using metal gong or town criers or maybe a word of mouth.
Good morning, Mr. Nathaniel.
It wasn't that reliable.
Good morning, Mr.
So you know that as a result of series of transitions, we actually came up, people started thinking about various ways in which they can share information to each other seamlessly despite their geographical location. So that's where ICT came into the picture. So like I said, is technology that allows data to be transferred digitally. Right now I'm actually sending my analog data into a device, my microphone, that picks up my data and digitalizes that data. And of course, you know, my computer only understands, electronic devices only understands digital data. So my audio data, which is my voice, is being converted from my analog from analog form to digital form, a form that my computer or any electronic device, which is an ICT gadget, doesn't understand. So that's basically ICT, transferring of data transfer using digital technology or using data transfer in digital form. Basically, it's what ICT is all about. And of course, you know, when it comes to data transfer in digital form, that can't work without some gadgets or some basic infrastructures in place. So I know we actually looked at some ICT gadgets, which of course, as we proceed in this class, we'll look at them. So you might ask, what are the various applications or use cases of ICT in our daily life? Number one, we looked at video conferencing. Just like what we are having right now, I'm interacting with you, we are conversing. I'm actually delivering a session to you via a video conferencing session, even though my video is not turned on. So we, of course, we can see ourselves, we can see our colleagues and all. And of course, I am also delivering lecture to you via a video conferencing application, which is Zoom. So I actually made mention of other video conferencing applications like the likes of Microsoft Teams, have Microsoft Teams. So you have Microsoft Teams, you have Blue, Microsoft Teams, the typical example of a video conferencing application. You also have the likes of Google's Meets. You have your Google's Meets. So this is also an example of a video conferencing application. You also have Cisco WebEx. So these are, sorry, not beer. Sorry about that. Cisco WebEx. So this is also an example of a video conferencing application. There are a couple of others like BlueJean. That's just the last one I'm gonna show you right now. So BlueJean. I know I did show you a whole lot, but as you check your notes, you see other examples. So BlueJeans, these are a couple of video conferencing applications. You have GoToMeeting and all of that. So there are video conferencing applications that you can leverage, all right, to deliver or probably to carry out any sort of video conferencing. Then we also looked at Siona. I think I'll respond to your question at the end of the class. Just hang on, all right?
Teacher,
All
it's
right,
just a
so we
quick
looked at
question.
e-learning. So e-learning basically is another use case of ICT, another uses of another use case of ICT in our daily life. So currently, of course, we know e-learning has to do with a sort of learning that leverages on electronic gadgets. All right, so when you're actually delivering digital data or digital information, all right, if you're delivering information digitally, of course you're carrying out some sort of e-learning. But e-learning cannot be complete without some underlying applications in place that can help you digitalize your information or digitalize your content. So we have the likes of Edmodo, which of course we are currently leveraging on that for our e-learning, a feature that can allow you deliver classes asynchronously, all right? Then of course, or probably learn asynchronously. Then you also have the likes of Schoology. These are also e-learning applications. You have Google Classroom. It's also an e-learning application. So an application that basically allows you to deliver digital content or to build or develop digital content, all right, in order to deliver to your learners or your students. Basically, it's what your e-learning is all about. So we looked at that in details in our in our in our class on e-learning, or in our class of applications of ICT in our daily life. So e-learning is one of them. Then we also looked at digital library. So digital library is also one use case of ICT application, or one use case of applying ICT in our daily lives or using ICT in our daily life. Of course, you know that we've grown past, we've actually gone beyond the level of traditional library. So these days, people now leverage and use their computer to have access to a couple of digital books. If you look at Amazon uh, library, you have a couple of books there. They're all digital libraries. You have PDF drives, you have digital books there. You have a lot of online libraries. You have Open Library. Let me show you. I think I had showed you this earlier. So you have Open Library. This is just a free library where you can get a couple of digital books for free. Okay, so it's free to get. And you also have, lastly, I'm just going to show you, your PDF drive. So this is also a digital library where you can get a lot of digital books in PDF format, free books. You don't pay a dime to get that. All right, so that's for your digital library. So of course, you know, when it comes to digital library, you know, everything is done using an electronic gadgets. All right, it's not hard copy. All right, everything is soft copy related. So whenever you hear about the concept of digital, you should understand that it is done using an electronic gadget. It's either you're making use of your mobile phone, or you're making use of a tablet, or you're making use of a computer. All right, so because all these devices transfer data digitally. All right, so that was just what we looked at in the very first week. So in the second week, so let's look at what we did. Let me just walk you through what we did in the second week. So in the second week, we actually intensified it a little, some use cases of ICT in our daily life, more other use cases of ICT in our daily life. Okay, so in our second week, we were able to look at ICT gadgets. So I told you that ICT gadgets are basically devices that actually allows you to transfer data digitally. All right, any device that facilitates the transfer of data, or that facilitates the transfer of digital data all right, is known as an ICT gadget. So we looked at several ICT gadgets like the likes of computer, we looked at smartphones, we looked at smart TVs, your satellites, your routers, and your access points. So I'll basically just walk you through some of those gadgets as we proceed. Okay, so the gadget, the computer, of course, I don't really need to talk much about a computer. We all use a computer. We know what a computer is. And a computer, of course, is just an electronic device that allows you to input data, allows you to process this data, and also allows you to get the output of this data, for the most part in soft copy format. And of course, if you do want to get the hard copy format of that data, you need to print it out using an output device known as a printer. So that's for your computer. Then we also looked at smartphones, and of course, I told you that smartphones are also ICT gadget that allows a user to transfer data digitally. Now, I know I did talk about some of the technologies behind data transfer using a smartphone. I talked about some technologies that allows you to transfer data digitally using your smartphone. And I know I did talk about the very first technology, which is a GPRS. GPRS means General Packet Radio Service. So this is just a feature that allows you to transfer data. Most times on your mobile phone, you have a G. That's for old phones. You have a G showing. So that G simply tells you that your data service is on. So that data service can allow you to transfer data, or maybe have access to the internet, or maybe make use of some of your network-driven applications like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, your Edmodo application, if it's installed on your mobile device, your Gmail application. So any application that actually leverages on the internet network, all right, to transfer data. Of course, you need to ensure that the data service that should allow that to work should be enabled. So like I told you, the very first features of cell phones supported GPRS. Of course, GPRS was a very low technology. The speed was relatively low. So if you're actually trying to retrieve a website using GPRS, it was a bit low. Then moving forward, we had another technology called your Edge, all right, your enhanced data rate for GSM evolution. That's Edge in communication. I think I have to be very specific. Edge in communication. Okay, let me use this. Edge versus GPRS. I think should get the full meaning there. All right, so your Edge, your enhanced data rate for GSM evolution. That was another technology that was an upgrade of your GPRS. Of course, I told you that this was an upgrade. So Edge was a bit faster. For some phones, you see an E showing there. So E there simply means Edge. So it was a bit faster than your GPRS. So moving forward, telecom companies now improve their technology for your data service, for data services on mobile phones. And of course, you started having your HSPA, your high-speed packet access. So this was another data service, all right, an upgrade of your GPRS, all right, sorry, an upgrade of your Edge, sorry about that. So, and of course, moving forward, most phones, you always see your H showing. Most times it shows with a H plus, all right. So your H plus means HSP, your H plus plus means your HSPA, your high speed packet access. Then moving forward, you also had an elevation of that. You have your LTE, which is your long-term evolution, also known as your 4G technology, your fourth generation technology, all right? So that's your LTE. If you don't call it your LTE, you call it your 4G, which is your fourth generation. So this is a bit higher when it comes to data transfer. If you're having a mobile phone that supports your 4G, you always have you always have a faster speed when it comes to retrieving files or data, uploading, downloading data, and all of that. So always have the fastest speed with your 4G. So of course, moving forward, you have your 5G, which currently is going through some sort of rigorous tests and all of that. So that's like the next generation of data services. So that was for your smartphones. Then of course your smart TVs, the reason why it's smart is because there are a whole lot of features that you can do with this. Maybe you can have access to the internet. Definitely for smart televisions, you can have access, you can synchronize your smart TV with your internet network and pull data, probably have access to video hosting applications like YouTube and all of that. You can always control your TV from any location and all of that. You can synchronize it with your smartphone and all of that. So that's why it's called smart TV. There are a whole lot of features that comes with it out of the box. Now, I also talked about satellites. I told you that a satellite basically is just an ICT gadget that allows you to retrieve files from, or probably it allows you to retrieve files from several locations. Oftentimes, a lot of us retrieve files from several locations using satellite providers. Most these are basically resellers. So these satellite providers subscribe to maybe a particular satellite and sell those channels to you. All right. So all those channels are hosted to a satellite in space. All right. And these resellers allow you to probably pay for these channels uh, and and have access to these channels at your own will. So this satellite, they are just ICT gadget that allows data to be sent from a location to space, and you use your dish to track them and have access to those channels that are being hosted in space, in the satellite in space. Then next thing we looked at is router. And I told you that basically a router is just a device that allows you to have access to the public network, which is the internet. Most of us should have routers in our homes. It's just a small device. It looks like a MiFi. Basically, show you that it looks like a MiFi, but the interesting thing about a router is that it allows you to have access to the internet. All right. So let me show you a typical picture of a router. You know, you should have this in your home, something like this. All right. So this is basically a router. It's just a device that actually allows you to have access to the internet. Okay. So that's for a router. Then the access point we talked about, the access point here is just a device that allows you to extend the coverage area of your internet. You agree with me that if you have a router that is generating internet access for you wirelessly, of course, it will always be wireless, all right, for the most part. So if it's generating internet signal wirelessly, of course, you know, if the router is in a room, of course, you know, the interference, of course, so you know, the walls of the room will definitely interfere the flow of that signal. So you probably go out of that room, you will definitely realize that the signal strength will be a bit lower. Do you understand? Because of course, you know, as signal goes through a long distance, the strength reduces. All right. So in order to compensate for that strength, you need an access point. So I want you to look at an access point like a repeater, a device that helps repeat that signal for you. In other words, it regenerates that signal for you, all right, so that that signal can go through a longer distance. So it gets the signal from the router and it energizes that signal and it broadcasts it, all right, so that it broadcasts it to a distance, okay? So what it does is it just compensates for loss in signal. So that's what your access point does. Okay, so uses of ICT. We talked about information gathering, processing, and distribution as one major use of ICT. Gathering of information. Like now we have information being gathered to a centralized location. So you have Google. Google is able to give you information because information has been gathered over the years and kept in a centralized location or in a distributed location. All right. Because you know, if Google goes down, that's why if one of Google's computer goes down, you can still have access to Google because it is distributed. That information is not just only residing in one single computer, it resides in several computers. Duplicates of that information resides in several computers. So if one goes down, you always have access to Google's information and all of that because they have many computers distributed around. All right. So one major use case or uses of ICT is information gathering. Now, information management. Of course, you know that information has to be managed, maybe updated, deleted if the information is old, and all of that. So ICT gadget or ICT allow you to seamlessly manage information. You know, it was difficult in those days. If you have an office where you have files, you have a shelf where a shelf that accumulated with so much files. It's difficult for you to sort them out. It's very difficult for you to sort, especially when you are looking for a vital copy of a file, a vital copy of a file you want to work with. So it's very difficult. But when it comes to IT, it's easier for you to search or sort information seamlessly with some of the ICT gadgets or some applications out there. All right. So it's easier as compared to those days where people were all dealing with hard copy files and all. Sometimes it be very difficult to manage files. So communication, you know that ICT has facilitated communication. Back then in those days, if you were using a post office as a case study, people sending letters. If you wanted to send a letter, if Mr. John wanted to send a letter to Mr. Frank, Mr. Frank will definitely have to wait in those days, maybe for months, for weeks before he receives his letter. But in this case, with some transitions in the current dispensation, ICT has helped to bridge that gap. So you can communicate seamlessly despite geographical location with someone just in split seconds. All right, using your mobile device. You have mobile technologies that allows that actually facilitates that. You have email services that actually facilitates that. You have electronic chatting services that also facilitates that. So communication is now like ICT was like a game changer in this case. So communication in the communication sector, of course, it did a very good job in that area. And looking at information security, now ICT uh, basically has helped in this area a whole lot when it comes to information security. I'm going to end the session of this class very soon. Time is almost running out. So as soon as I end the session, of course, you know, as our culture have always been, you have to join back as soon as the session ends. Okay, so I'll be ending the session very soon. As soon as we come back, I'll talk about information security and we further wrap it up from there. So see you guys very soon. I'll be ending the session right now.